Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the new lecture of Kinesiology 2. And this is your course instructor, Dr. Zahra Gillani. Today we will be continuing with our new topic, that is walking aids. So one of the most interesting topics in kinesiology, that how we can help our patients to assist themselves through walking if they have lost their balance ability, or they are having incoordination in some movements, or if they have gone through a recent surgery or a fracture and they cannot walk independently, how the assistive devices can help them to walk independently. So walking aids is one of the topic that actually assist a physiotherapist to know how they can help their patients if they are having difficulty in their walk. Obviously, as in a conjunction to the therapy that we are providing to our patients, there could be some assistive devices that a physiotherapist can recommend to a patient according to its condition. So, let us see what would be our learning objectives of today. We will see the general introduction to walking aids. Then we will see what are the type of walking aids that are available to provide to the patients. And then we will see what crutches are, which is one of the type of walking aids. And then we will see that how using the crutches we can make measurements of the patients about the length of the crutches, and how we can instruct the patient for the correct use of the crutches without any damage to their safety. And then we will see what are the preparatory measures that we have to take before making patient independent upon using their walking aids. Let us see what walking aids are. So, walking aids are devices which are designed for those people who cannot walk independently and having difficulty in independent walking. Those external aids are crutches, sticks, and frames. So there can be three types of walking aids that can be provided to the patient who are not independent in their walking, and we want them to go independent in their daily livings. Then comes the braces and the splints that also can add to the stability of the patient. That one thing we are providing to our patients is walking aid, as well as we can add up to that stability with the help of braces and splints, where they can be used. Imagine a patient who is having a backache or having the instability in the muscles of the back. There they can actually be provided with the help of braces and the splints, and these splints and bases provide their stability to its back and the thorax and the trunk, and provide a central core stability to the patient in order to add to the effects of the walking aid and helping them to make themselves more stabilized and to have independent life as well. So, moving to the types of the walking aids that are present in our vicinity, so a physiotherapist can recommend a patient to these types of walking aids. Number one are crutches. So, crutches can be offered the three types: auxiliary crutches, elbow crutches, gutter crutches. Then comes sticks. Sticks can be of three types. They can be unipod having one leg. They can be tripod having three legs. They can be tetrapod or quadrupod having 4 foot or 4 legs. So there would be one stick at the top and there would be four ends at the end. There can be frames also be used. So first comes the static frame, that is a complete whole in its own, and then comes the dynamic or reciprocal frame. So the reciprocal frame would be the one side of the frame can move independent to the other side of the frame. We will be discussing it later. And then comes the rollator frame. So there will be rotating tires in the front of the frame. So that is making movement easy and effortless for the patient. But most training and more stability is required in these kind of patients when we recommend rollators to them. And also all these crutches, sticks and frames when used with the patient should be under the supervision of a physiotherapist. Then comes crutches. First of all, we will see what type of crutches are available, and then we will see each single type of crutch, how we take the measurement for them with the shoes on or shoes off, whether we take measurement while standing or we take measurement while lying. Then we will see what type of stability preparatory measures we have to take in order to recommend these type of crutches. Let's start with the auxiliary type of crutch. These are made up of wood or the steel. These type of crutches could be made of the wood and could be made of the steel. So steel are adjustable and lightweight as well. How they are adjustable? That adjustable by a press clip and the metal button with central strut. So there could be a central strut and there could be adjusting holes on the top of the dab. Then there comes three parts of the crutches. These are auxiliary pads, there are hand pieces, there are rubber ferrules. So auxiliary pad, it is for the support of the patient and it will exactly be placed in the axillary region. Then comes the hand piece that gives the grip to the patient to hold the crutch in his hand. And then comes the rubber ferrule. What would be the rubber ferrule? It will be the rubber-like cup that will be present on the end of the crutch or the stick that will be providing friction from the floor, so that when the patient put their weight on the crutches, they would not slip off, and the patient's safety is our first priority there. Okay, after that, let us see some pictures of the auxiliary crutches as well. Here is one of the picture of auxiliary crutch. Here is the auxiliary pad or the crutch pad. Then comes the hand grip. Then comes some adjustable ports for the length or the adjustable holes for the length, for adjusting the length of the crutch according to the height and the shape of the patient or the deformity of the patient that he is facing. After that, we have the rubber ferrule like this on the tip of the crutch that provides friction from the floor, that prevents any slippery or the damage to the structures when patient is putting its weight on the crutch. So after that, let us see how we can take some of the measurements of the crutches. So first of all, we will see that if the patient is lying on the bed with the shoes off, how will you take the measurements? The starting point of your measuring tape would be the apex of the axilla. What does apex of the axilla means? The highest point of the axilla. So in axillary structures, the highest point that is deep in the axilla would be the apex of the axilla, and we will be taking measurements from that point. So starting from that point, we will end our measurement on the medial malleolus of the patient. Remember, not lateral malleolus, but the medial malleolus. This will give the exact length that is required for the crutch to stand on with the patient. Next comes the measurement in lying position when the patient is having the shoes on. So if the shoes are on, we will take measurement from 5 centimeters below the axillary crutch or the axilla. So the axilla of the patient, we will be having 5 centimeters below, that would be 3 to 2 fingers distance from the axilla, and we will keep that distance even when the patient is walking. So the measuring tape would start taking measure from 5 centimeters below the axilla, and it will end its measurements 20 centimeters lateral to the heel of the shoe. The patient is wearing the shoe, and we will take the measurement from 20 centimeters away from the or lateral to the heel of the shoe. So where is the starting point? It's in the 5 centimeters below the axilla, and the measuring end of the tape would be 20 centimeters away from the heel of the foot of the patient. This will give exact length that is required for the crutch. After that, we have a measuring for handpiece. What would be the distance between the crutch and the handpiece now? So the elbow would be flexed 15-degree flexion, and that would be our starting points. So measurement from the auxiliary pad to the handpiece, this is What would be the end point of the measurement? We will take measurement till the styloid process of ulna. This is the ulnar side, and we will be taking measurement to this protruded portion, the styloid of the ulna. So where we are taking measure, we are starting measure with the head of the crutch, that is 5 cm below the axilla, and we are making measurements till the styloid process of ulna, but the elbow is in 15-degree flexion. That is the position when the patient will walk. We will have to maintain a 15-degree flexion at the elbow. So the axillary pad should rest against the wall almost 5 cm below the axilla. Keep the lower end of the crutch must be 20 cm away from the foot, and the hand grip should be adjusted to allow the flexion of the elbow at least 15 degree when the weight is not being transferred to the crutch. And when the weight is transferred to the crutch, the patient is supposed to extend its elbow to push all its weight on the crutch. Like in this picture, we can see the axillary pad is kept 2 to 3 centimeters below the axilla, and then the straight elbow is the slight bend in elbow can be seen when there is no weight put on the crutch. And then once the weight goes through the hand to the crutch, the elbow has to extend. Then comes the bottom end, which is away from the foot, that is 20 centimeters distance from the lateral side of the foot. So this is the standard type of axillary crutch. First comes the axillary pad, then comes the hand grip. There could be thin bolts for adjustment. There can be washers for the adjustment, and after that we have the rubber tips to reduce friction. And then in this picture, again you can see there should be a 2 to 3 fingers distance from the axilla of the axillary pad, and there should be a 5 to 8 inches or 20 centimeter distance of the axillary crutch tip from the foot. So the crutches and the foot would be making this triangular tripod structure or the tripod position when the patient is about to walk. Continuing with that, the weight is transferred down the hand piece. So how the weight is being transferred? Not from the axilla or the support to the axilla. It is actually being transferred with the help of our hand. So the weight should be taken on the axillary pads. So weight should not be taken on the axillary pads, as it can lead to the neuropyrexia of the brachial plexus or the radial nerve. Once the patient stands on the crutches, the physiotherapist must teach the patient the correct use of the crutches. So after the axillary crutch, there comes the elbow crutches. What would be the elbow crutches? They are also made up of metal that is of adjustable length. After that, we have the forearm band or the metal that is made up of metal or the plastic. So there can be elbow crutches as well, a hand grip and a rubber ferrule as in the axillary crutch. So these are suitable for the patients whose balance is a little more stable and good, and for the stronger arms that are. See in this picture, this is the elbow crutch. Here is the forearm cuff that can be made up of plastic or that can be padded with the rubber or the leather inside it to provide more soft surface for the patient to be more comfortable. After that, we have the hand handle here, as you can see, and the height of this crutch is also adjustable with the help of these pins and the holes. And then there is a replaceable tip that is made up of rubber to provide the friction against the slippery floor to the patient. So here is the correct use, how the patient would be wearing the axillary crutch. Now taking the measure for the axillary crutch, for the elbow crutch, just as we took that for the axillary crutch. in lying position, if the patient is having his foot or shoes on, then we will keep the elbow of the patient in 15-degree flexion, and we will take measurement from the styloid ulnar process, this time to the lateral 2 centimeters of the heel of the shoe. After that, there comes some gutter crutches. So, if a patient is having pain in his hand or having any other problem which is painful for the smaller joints like wrist and the hand, that it is not possible for the patient to transfer his all body weight through the hand or the fingers. So, there for the ease of the patient, the gutter crutches are used. These gutter crutches are actually stabilizing the whole forearm of the patient against only the hand. It has the padded forearm support that can have straps and that can be wrapped around the forearm. Then comes the hand pieces and then comes the rubber ferrules. So what are the gutter crutches? These are used in those patients who have some deformity or the problem with the wrist and elbow, and they are painful and say that they cannot hold their whole body weight with the help of hands in that, and having a rheumatoid arthritis as well. For these patients, we can use this type of forearm crutches or the gutter crutches. What are the gutter crutches? So here in this picture, you can see like this, there gives the forearm support to the patient and they can hold the hand piece in front of that. It will exactly work as the elbow crutch or the auxiliary crutch in making the support, but the support is being provided at the forearm, so that whole the body weight would be transferred through whole forearm. Then how will we take measurements for the gutter crutch? Again, position would be standing of the patient, and now we will take measurements with the 90-degree flexion of the elbow, and from elbow we will have the end point to the 20 centimeter to the floor lateral to the heel of the patient. अगर पेशेंट हमारे पास lying position में है, then we will have the measurements with the shoes on, and the starting point would be elbow flexed and 20 centimeter to the lateral of the heel of the shoe would be the end point again. Just what happening here is that the patient's shoe is on and he is in lying position. Again, we are taking the measurements through elbow flexion. So what would be the preparations that we can use for the patient in order to provide them stability and more strength, and to allow the patient to make a stable and more comfortable walk with the help of these crutches? So when recommending the patient about the use of the what would be the preparatory steps that we have to take for patients while referring them the crutches? There comes, while the arms that are being used for transferring weight, there should be the strengthening of shoulder extensors as well as adductors of the shoulder to provide more stability to the shoulder joint and providing more strength while the patient is trying to walk. After that, we will see what elbow extensors should be helpful with. While transferring weight to the crutch, the elbow goes into extension. So if the elbow extensors are being strengthened and worked before the hand on that, then there would be less fatigue to the patient while they are walking with the help of crutches. For the leg, in the non-weight bearing case, so there can be two types of walking: non-weight bearing walking and the partial weight bearing walking. In non-weight bearing walking, the patient would be transferring no weight on the affected leg, and for the partial weight bearing, the patient would be putting a slight weight on the affected leg first. For the non-weight bearing type, the unaffected leg, that is most playing major part in the walking, should have abductors and the extensors of the hip in the strengthening, as well as the extensors of the knee, that are quadriceps, must be in the strengthened position. And after that, the plantar flexors of the foot should be strengthened before starting walking in the crutch. Then in case of partial weight bearing, we will be providing strength for both the legs. And after that, the balance is the key. So balance in standing and balance in sitting should both be pre-tested and prepared before the patient start walking on the crutches. So to understand more about what would be the key points of making the patient to walk with the crutches, I will be attaching some videos links with this recorded lecture in your Google Classroom. So you are all requested to see this recorded video as well as those links on the YouTube, so that you can have a better concept in your mind about how we can make a patient walk with the help of crutches and how these all measurements will be helping to them. So this was all for today's lecture. I will be joining the links of the recorded videos as well, and in further class we will be making links with the other walking aids and other types of the walking aids, which would include the sticks and frames, and how we will be instructing patients for using the crutches in the weight bearing and the non-weight bearing, in the partial weight bearing and the non-weight bearing conditions, and there could be some precautions that can also be used. So this was all for the lecture. Thank you so much for joining in and listening to me. This is Dr. Zahra Gillani, your course instructor of Kinesiology 2. Thank you so much to everyone.